Hello to everybody, and my name is Verity Corbett, and I work for Myron Vidorno, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, Business Beyond COVID-19, for all of us that can think of this. We're going to focus on Make in India today. We have two excellent speakers for you, Mr. Shavikesh Goel and Mr. Sanjay Srivastava. And the speakers are going to take you through a brief overview of India as an investment destination, and then on a quick tour of everything you need to know to manufacture in India. We want this to be an interactive session. We said that in the actual advert invite itself. So obviously to make sure the audio is completely clear, we have everybody muted. But we have some questions we'd like to ask you, and we want to answer as many of your questions as we can. So please do have your keyboard and your mouse ready, and feel free to ask a question at any time. There's the chat question option in the toolbar. Please just open that, type in your question, and we'll make sure that we put that on the list, and we'll go through as many questions as we can after the short presentations. Just the last housekeeping note, we're recording the session, so we'll share that with all of you after the session is closed. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Shavikesh. Shavikesh has set up a number of greenfield sites in India for European companies with M&V, and is an expert on all areas of operations. So thank you very much, Shavikesh.
Thank you, Verity. Thank you everyone for attending, joining. Good day to all of you. So let's not wait any further and I'll start. Topic is very contemporary. Business beyond COVID-19, everyone is talking of COVID-19. So what happens beyond that? And why India and why Make in India? Me and Sanjay will take you through as quickly as possible what we have to share on this topic, and of course are happy to answer your queries. So let's start with a few basic facts about India. Many of you will be aware of these facts, but I thought a quick refresher will not be bad. So India is the world's fifth largest economy with a GDP of around 2.8 trillion US dollars. It is also the seventh largest country in the world. It's about 1/3 the size of Europe, but has about twice the population of Europe. What is interesting for most of you should be the growth of the population, how it is growing. We call it the demographic dividend. So the growth in India's working age population is now more than the growth of the dependent people, which means we are growing younger. We have more people who are available to work. This will last till 2055. And this makes India the youngest nation in the world in terms of population. What it means for you is that not only do you have enough people available, younger population to work, these people also double up as your consumers, which is a unique distinction which India holds today, if you look at all the developed or the developing economies around the world. Another advantage and a basic fact about India is that the common language, India is a very diverse country. We have so many languages, at least 18 to 21 official languages and a few hundred or thousand languages, sub-languages, dialects put together. How do you do business in a country as diverse, as complicated? So English is the common business language across the country. India also happens to be the second largest English speaking, has the second largest population in the world which speaks English. Makes it at least one variable less for you to handle, to tackle. Now let's look at what is the current status of COVID. The numbers I present on this screen are from today. So as of today, we have a little over 567,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19. And the heartening part is that almost 60% of those have recovered. And also India has among the lowest death rates due to COVID-19 in the world. India has one COVID death per 100,000 people as against the world number of 6. Now, how are we faring in handling COVID-19? How is the government faring? I would say, given those of you who know how densely populated India is, I think the government so far has done a reasonably good job in containing COVID-19. About 4 weeks ago, we started unlocking the country with Unlock 1.0, the government realized that we cannot be locked in forever, and we started on that path. I would say because of that, yes, there are a number of cases increasing every day, but also the activity, the economic activity, both on the manufacturing and services side, has also started, restarted, and is gaining momentum as we go every day. Now, let's see now how, as a country, we are looking at beyond COVID-19. So some of you may be already aware of the stimulus, the economic stimulus package the government announced in 4 or 5 weeks ago. So this is a package worth about USD $280 million, $1 billion, I'm sorry, which is about 10% of our GDP. And the idea is not to transfer cash directly in the hands of people. Yes, of course, the government is also transferring cash to the underprivileged people. But the idea is to create demand, and provide liquidity to businesses, loans to small and medium businesses, and also demand being generated. This package is spread across various sectors, various core industry sectors. More details, of course, can be shared later. Now, what else is the government doing? Now, because of the disruptions, in the global manufacturing supply chain, which happened of late due to the dependence on, or the over-dependence on China, so the government, both the federal government and the state governments in India, several of them, have come out with modified policies, investment policies, labor policies. Many, companies, when they look at India or have been looking into the past, are not too comfortable with the way labor laws are structured. So already work has started in those directions. Also, last year, much before COVID became COVID, known to the pandemic it is, in September, the government announced a few tax incentives to spur the manufacturing activities. And the most important of them is the income tax rate. If you were to set up a company after October 2019, the effective income tax rate will be around 17%, base rate being 15%, which is among the lowest income tax rates in the world anywhere, and definitely this part of the world, Asia, Southeast Asia. Now, the important question, the important point is why look at India first, and especially for manufacturing in India. So what are the opportunities India holds? The first and the basic opportunity is the country itself, the domestic market. Now, India, the GDP growth over the last many years has been around 7%, goes down to 5.5%, 6%, goes beyond 7 to 8, 8.5%. Let's say an average of 7% in the last 4, 5, maybe 7 years now. And that, I think, is the biggest point where you should look at India, why you should look at India. The government, in addition, is also focusing on the Make in India initiative, right, which is a resolve to make India a global manufacturing hub. And this is a mission statement the government is very doggedly working on promoting Make in India. So this also helps that when an ecosystem is being created in the country, supported by the central government and the state governments supporting that, so there's enough support available. The GST, the goods and services tax, also surprisingly is now an important reason why you should make in India. Earlier, because of each state having their own tax laws, it was difficult to move goods from one place to the other. And so if you manufactured in one place, it was difficult. How do you manage goods? India is a large country, I mentioned before. So GST made India, unified India into a single market. And today you can manufacture anywhere, you can supply to anywhere. It's very seamless. One thing which I personally have experienced and I've been told by several of my clients and prospects is that the legal system, especially in the other country where there's overdependence, which is China, is difficult to fathom. The contracts are written in Chinese, that's what my understanding is, and you don't know what you're signing while you read the contracts in English. India follows the legal system here is based on the British common law. The contracts are signed in English, so you sign what you read, you comprehend. You don't know what might come up later. A related topic is the intellectual property rights. Again, those of you who are familiar with China or Chinese way of working, the IP rights are almost non-existent. I know of cases where our clients had factories there and somebody outrightly copied their design, made a replica, exact replica. They could not do anything. They went to the government looked the other way. In India, thanks to the legal system, there is a legal recourse. So you're not left fending for yourself. The government is there the judiciary is there to support you in that. Coming to the resources which the country offers, we have enough natural resources and enough human resources. I mentioned this, 300 clear sunny days. The renewable energy, if you see, solar energy is one of the main areas where we are dependent on renewable energy. So this makes India a perfect destination for that. Minerals, if into processing of raw materials, we are blessed that way. And coming to the human resources, if you look at the numbers mentioned here, the main working population between the age of 25 and 64 years, we have over 600 million people, which, as I said before, is the demographic dividend we have. These are the people who are in their early years of career. Some of them are yet to start a family, some are in the middle ages, they already have a family. These are your consumers as well. And not only are the numbers, it is the affordability of the workforce which also is attractive, even when you compare to China. I mean, everyone went to China in the past because it was cheap to produce over there. If you compare that to India now, so India, the minimum wages, these are government set minimum wages which you have to pay for a skilled worker, are about USD 1.25 per hour, which would be among the lowest in the world. There, of course, would be some countries down South Asia, Southeast Asia, which would be even cheaper. But if you look at India holistically, I think this is a wage which is very, very, very competitive. If you look at the other aspects as well. Geographically, if you see, again, we are very well located. We are kind of at the center of, if you look from Europe to Australia, from Japan to Africa, we are almost in the middle. And this could be also an attractive, reason why you should look at manufacturing in India. You could easily supply from India to all these, countries in this region. Africa could be another, attractive area. We have historical ties with Africa. Geographically, also, we are very closely placed. So India could also be used as because many companies have used China as a global manufacturing destination. India could be also used the same way. Now, obviously, there are not only opportunities, there are enough challenges. And we, of course, as Indians and as Indian professionals in this business, don't fool ourselves that everything is hunky-dory. There are challenges. There are good things, the bad things as well. Some of the challenges is starting with bureaucracy. I mean, India is known for the bureaucracy which is there. A lot of improvement has been done. We have climbed a lot of places on the ease of doing business. Sanjay will speak about it a little more in detail later. So while we have made progress there are still challenges. One of the main reasons why bureaucracy hurts is there the multiple authorities for the same approval or permission which you need to take either before construction starts or before you start your production. That could delay things a bit. There are certain ways how you come around. Sanjay will mention more on that. I'll reserve my comments here. But that is one area. Land issues is another area because you need land to set up. If you're setting up a green field, you need land. Now, India, I repeat, is a very large country. We have enough land available. But the land titles could be a big challenge. You may not know what lies behind, and which is where, thankfully, the government and a lot of major private players have set up industrial parks. These are ready to kind of plug and play, facilities available, integrated ecosystems as we call them. And Sanjay will again throw more light on that. He's an expert from that domain. But these are some ways where you can overcome the land issues, but the land issues continue to be a challenge. Now, infrastructure to support when you set up a factory or run a factory is also something which in India is not the best. A lot of improvement has happened in the last years, but still there is some way to go. Basics like roads, power, electricity, water, other amenities may not be available in all the states across the country. Some states do better, fare better, some don't. And again, there the ecosystems help, integrated ecosystems help you do a better job. Something on the labor productivity. I mentioned a few minutes ago that we have enough number of people available. So labor availability is not an issue. But sometimes the skills which you need to manage your operations may not be available with the people you hire. How do we manage that, or how are we managing that? On one end, the government of India understood this problem And about 5-6 years ago, they started an initiative called Skill India. And this is like the Swachh Bharat campaign, and it's a mission the government has taken to train and educate the youth in the right skills they need, whether it's for manufacturing or for services. The other way by which the companies overcome this challenge is that they also train or retrain the people they hire as per their own needs. It works better for some companies. So when you get a skilled technician available from the government trained institutes, then you can also refine the skills. And the last challenge, which I believe is also there, and companies every time they tell us that this is a challenge, is logistics. Now, we definitely have made enough progress in the last at least 3 to 4 years, also thanks to GST. Things have gotten much better. But logistics, if you were to expect the same way, if you're coming from a developed world, the same way here in India, there are still challenges. I would say some way to go. The good thing is that many international logistics companies have, they see the opportunity India offers. They have set up their businesses in India, and their best practices are also ensuring that the Indian companies in the logistics domain are also gearing up. They're not left wanting, and that is creating an ecosystem for logistics, which I estimate in the next 3 to 4 years max, at least all the major cities and the tier 1 towns will be very well connected logistically with everyone. With this, I would end my presentation with a small note. Of course, the idea was to make it more of an interactive session than a monotone. So please, you are encouraged, like Verity mentioned before, you are encouraged to ask questions after this session is over. Now it's time for a quick poll, and I'll ask my colleague to run a quick poll.
Thanks so much, Shavikesh. So we're just going to bring the question up for you. Do you consider sustainability to be an important decision factor while setting up and running your manufacturing unit? And the options you have are you obviously only one: strongly agree, agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, strongly disagree. So we want to know what people feel. So if you could just give your answers there. We already have 70% voted. We're almost there, just a minute or two more. Thank you very much. All right. So I think almost everyone's voted. Right, can you show the results, please? I think most people will already know this, that the majority of people, over 60%, said they strongly agreed that sustainability is critical, is an important factor when setting up and running manufacturing unit. So I think this would be interesting for you, Sanjay, to add in. That's something you've heard before. Sanjay is the head of 3 large industrial parks, strategically located across the country, so well placed to talk about manufacturing. Please, Sanjay.
Thanks, Verity. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Thanks, Verity. Thanks, Shavikesh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. As Shavikesh mentioned, we really appreciate your valuable time in midst of everything else. So we are in turn trying to bring the word to you. And quickly, you talked about sustainability. You heard some of the facts on India as a country. Let me start by bringing you, the clients or the decision makers, as the center of our world, because that's what we understand the best. So from what we have been hearing over the past time, talking to our clients, speaking to prospects, decision makers, leaders like all of you, I think these are some of the key criteria which all of you look for, which is whether it is about strategic competitiveness, skill set and scale, fiscal and tax benefit, the EODB environment, of course, access to the large markets, both domestic as well as international, and then clear title and the world-class infrastructure. So when we look at integrated industrial ecosystem, we want you as the decision maker to really enable your decision by seeing whether all of this is addressed. Shavikesh talked of some of the initiatives already taken related to Make in India, and I'll not repeat all of them, but just to give you a sense of the pace at which India is working, I bring to your attention only the first one, which is 63rd rank in EODB. This is, in 4 years, India has moved from 123 to 63. That's the fastest ever move by any geography ever in 4 years. So that just gives you a sense, besides all the other things happen. The good thing about moving fast is the pace at which we need to, all of us need to work, is the pace at which we sit. So in fact, as the session was on, some of you asked for a question on saying all this, what is actually India's competitive advantage? And actually, I had a slide available which I had not put in this because of the time. I just pulled it out and here it is. So you asked, how does India figure in compared to the other geographies? Here we are, the most cost effective, from a most tax efficient perspective, good policies which ensure dividend tax, and of course our home base, significant customer base for both domestic consumption. So that is the reason why clearly we score. And while there are some other parameters where we are still working, if you see the rightmost column, Japan, which is one of the strategic partners, for the last 5 years, in the METI survey, on each of those parameters, India has been scoring the top 2. So this is a view of clients like yourself, and I just thought, let me quickly add it to bring a bit of tangibility to that. So diving from there, when we look at integrated ecosystem, how we really see it as a platform which offers the capability for manufacturing, services, and skill development together. So it adds significant benefit to you. So when we look at it, as Shavikesh talked of, India is a vast country. But there's a national quadrilateral corridor developed, connecting the north, west, south, and finally with the east. And there are significant, very good quality infrastructure available on a national basis. There are lots of options. What we have strategically done, which in turn enables clients like you, is we have co-located ourselves at the most strategic point. So whether it is in the north at northern India with our Mahindra World City, which is a Mahindra state of Rajasthan and a IFC collaboration. On the west, we have one presence in Ahmedabad in strategic partnership with IFC. And in South, we have two of them, including a global partnership with Sumitomo. And these ecosystems give you certain benefits, but whichever ecosystem you choose, it's important that we look at the considerations from where we started, because ultimately that's what really makes a difference. So if I come to what are the key considerations or why clients have been choosing integrated ecosystem when they move to India, it's about, as Shavikesh talked of, EODB. So how we see it is EODB is at a 3 level. At the first level is the country EODB, which is driven by the policy. The second is all the states can offer various fiscal and financial benefit. So that's the EODB in finance. And then the third EODB is ease of doing business in operations. And that is where an integrated ecosystem like a Mahindra World City or any world-class integrated ecosystem adds benefit. It ensures all the services are available. There is a sustainable development. It ensures each one of you is only focusing on doing what are your relevant operations, and whole surrounding infrastructure, services, professional operations and maintenance, business continuity and resilience is taken care of. And I'll just highlight that by picking up some of the top 3 things that why this is really the differentiator. So if I look at first thing, which is about ecosystem, and I'm just taking 2 examples, they are multifarious. Whenever a large OEM comes in, whether it is a BMW from Germany or a JCB from UK, in fact, JCB's second largest plant anywhere outside UK is with us. Same way India's only plant in BMW. Of course, they come in for a certain consideration. But the real value which they derive from coming to us in going faster time to market is a lot of tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, a lot of mid and SME clients who want to be suppliers and vendors and want to grow their business. A lot of them actually start coming in. And herein I've just pulled out some of the tier 1 vendors who as a result could come thrive. They are in fact many more numbers. So this is why an integrated ecosystem works. The second important aspect, which has become very important, both in fact Shavikesh and I, we had talked about it briefly in our welcoming video, is today's world is really changing. The world is about how one is I need to have safety, security, and 2 is every time should there be a business as unusual circumstances, how quickly you can start. And again, I am just illustrating by example. There are many such examples. Because of the kind of integrated planning we had combined with our processes, in every time a client was ready and allowed as per Government of India norms, we have about 90 plus clients, out of which 60 were operational only at one of our locations, which is Jaipur. More than 75% of them, 45 out of 60, actually went operational every time in under 72 hours. And this has been recognized actually as a global best practice. So the business continuity and the resilience which you get in by being co-located in the ecosystem acts as a business. And I'll be happy to at a later point share some of the case studies where because of this the clients did not just resume the operations but were actually able to even capture additional markets because some of their other competitors were closed down. So that is enabling your business success. The other very important aspect is we bring a certain value proposition of an integrated industrial ecosystem. But does that industrial ecosystem benefit you, the clients, the vendors who are actually coming and choosing us? And the proof is only what we really see in the real world. I just pulled out more than 20% of our clients at just one location. And this example is again available for all our 3 locations operational and the 4th going. More than 20% of these clients have gone for at least 1 round and some actually a 2nd round of expansion. And that ensures that we are a platform. Companies come, start their manufacturing, start their services, their businesses thrive, and then they are able to quickly expand because everything else is there. So if 20% of the companies have gone for at least one round of expansion, and many of these companies you would have not heard of. And that is what is a matter of pride for us, that not just the largest of the large players, but it is the small and medium enterprises to whom our value proposition really resonates and works for their business. And this is, again, it's not about one country, one example. Across our locations, more than 15 plus 160 plus clients from 15 plus countries have actually chosen to be co-located here. In fact, as I'm seeing, one of the examples which has also come is about skill development. If you see the first one, it is a logo of a Indo-Swiss skill development university. I think there are 2 or 3 questions which have just come in as how do we scale skill development. What we have done is actually we have created an integrated skill development embedded through our own collaboration as well as a tie-up. So in fact, India's first dedicated skill development university, which is an Indo-Swiss joint venture, which is bringing in the vocational courses from Germany and Europe, and not just India, but customizing it, is already there. So I hope that also answers one of those. So my point was, that is the reason why clients are coming, choosing, leveraging the India market, leveraging the opportunity which is India, and building upon us. And we are happy to be enabling that success. We can say we are successful, but it is important that are we the role model? Here is an example which we are picking of, based on our recent examples and the tremendous work done by us. What is Invest India, which is the India's premier gateway to established by Government of India? What does Invest India saying about an integrated ecosystem? So if you see 2 big messages, there are lots of other things also. One is, if you're looking for safety, looking for security, looking for an important start, choose an integrated ecosystem, whichever ecosystem works for that. The second very important message, if the mid, SME, and of course the large companies, you want a faster time to start to market and you want to be successful, please do choose a integrated ecosystem. So in a way, this is what a role model of the official gateway to India is positioning us. For 2 decades, we have been actually bringing Europe and world to India. My understanding was, while we have a global audience, there are a lot of you from Europe. I just pulled out 2 examples. This is a national delegation from Austria, as well as the parliamentary delegation from Germany who have come in. We are building this relationship. We understand that it is a very thoughtful consideration when you have to choose. I'm sure with partners like MNV and us, we are always here to ensure we enable your decision making, and of course, whatever is your decision to choose. The other aspect which had come up was sustainable. I think the pandemic has been a clarion call for all of us. Many of us were already fully committed to sustainability, but I think the way how nature has reacted, it has forced everyone that sustainability is not a good to have, sustainability is a must have. And from that perspective, choose the integrated ecosystem which is the world class. Like in this case, I'm just giving one example. The Mahindra World City is, in fact, Asia's first and world's largest integrated world city to reach Clinton climate positive C40 climate positive development program stage 2. So choose a ecosystem which values and synchronizes and is aligned with your responsible and a better development world. So this is what India has been doing. There are a lot of leading players. For the reasons why I just gave some examples, I just tried to highlight why the time to choose Make in India is now. And as some of you had mentioned, it really makes a difference if you choose an ecosystem which is right for manufacturing, services, and skill development. To understand what Shavikesh and I did say, what is your view? Maybe the time is just apt. Verity, over to you for the next poll.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sanjay. We've got a bit of a rush because I've got some brilliant questions here and we need to get to those. But let's look at the poll first. If we can have your answers, fingers on buzzers. What are your requirements? What are the things you consider? What do you need for India to be a manufacturing destination for you? Access to new markets and new customer base, ease of doing business, attractive tax rate, availability of world-class infrastructure, access to talent pools and skills. One of those is more important to you, or all of the above. So very interesting. We're at 50% voting. If everybody can pop their answers in, then that would be great. It's difficult, isn't it? It's such a strong list of essentials. So this is interesting. They just have a few more people who need to vote. Last 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, let's have a look at this. So can you please, there's a couple of people who didn't vote, but most people did, or over 3/4. So all of the above is the most popular answer, but if you have to pick just one, then it seems clear that access to new markets and customer base, the sort of massive market that India provides and gives you further access to, and the surrounding countries, is the one that stands out slightly above ease of doing business and access to talent pool, and then the world-class infrastructure is coming in at the moment last. But thank you very much, everybody. So Sanjay and Shavikesh, we don't have as long as I would like, but we have some brilliant questions, and I'm going to do the naughty thing of a moderator and choose my favorites first. So the first couple actually are really for both of you, but can we just talk about what the are post-pandemic opportunities of the Indian markets, given that that was the top priority that people gave as their criteria for India as a destination? What are the post-pandemic opportunities that you guys see in the Indian market? And if I can have very brief answers from both of you so that we can get on with the 10, 12 or so other questions I have.
Shavikesh, you first.
Yeah, sorry. Let's choose Shavikesh first, as he's just got his mouth open.
Okay. Yeah. So see, post-pandemic opportunities are multiple, fronts available. I mentioned about the stimulus package, which the government already has announced, and this package is not limited to one or two industries. It's across several industrial sectors. In fact, as early as yesterday, there is already indication that the government is now coming out with another policy to boost exports for the automotive industry. So this is a very specific another stimulus booster coming up for that. So if you look at that, there would be multiple opportunities. I mean, I can go on for a very long while. There's so many opportunities, but just to give you a flavor, that the stimulus package by the government for $280 billion is not the last one. It's just the beginning of many such, initiatives in the coming months. Sanjay?
Sure, thanks. I think besides that, if I quickly pick out maybe some 3 or 4 sectors have started emerging faster. First and foremost, healthcare and fitness. So in under 60 days, India became a $2 billion business for PPE market. So there will definitely be an opportunity. India is already the world's largest generic pharma manufacturer. So healthcare and wellness is first. Second, manufacturing and auto components, because that's where the maximum supply chain disturbance happened. The third, ESDM and electronics, because we are the fastest growing market, and there are 3 specific policies which have come in. So if I do a first ranking, these are the top 3 I'll choose, but the word is open.
Great, thank you. The next one, actually, you guys did well at both answering, so I'm going to ask another one to both of you. When is the right time, given all the uncertainties of right now? Experts from 2 different areas. Let's start with Sanjay. When would you say is a good time to set up or choose to relocate or expand into India?
Sure, no wonder, because it's a tougher one. You put me first in the spot. But,
oh,
yeah.
I'm bad.
Yeah, but I think that's a great question. How I see it is the time for planning has to start now, since these decisions are significant decisions. So hence we have to use the opportunity which we have got as a almost like a temporary breather, which in normal business and as usual environment none of us get. So this is the time to plan, strategize, and get a fix on your decision making is now, because that itself takes at least 2 to 3 quarters, even on an expedited manner. And then you can pace out the execution based on how the resumption happens. Over to you, Shavikesh.
Yeah, I agree with Sanjay completely. In fact, I would go a step further. I would say that the time to set up something in India, is already past, right? If you ask my opinion and fair opinion, honest one, ideally 4 to 5 years ago, the companies who really are serious about the Indian market and manufacturing in India should already have started looking at India. We have enough examples of companies who 4 or 5 years ago, instead of India, chose another country. Many of them China or some other Southeast Asian countries. And now when they talk to us in the last 3 or 4 months, they say that they now are not really happy with the decision. They should have already also looked at India, if not gone to China, but also looked at India. So I would say, yes, Sanjay, the timing is perfect. The business is not too much booming at the moment, so you have time on your hands. Perfect time for planning.
Time to do your research. Perfect. The next 2 are very different questions, and I think the first one probably goes to Sanjay. One of my favorite questions of all time, but I'm not sure you're going to hate me by the end of this. Labor unions in India, are they a liability or are they an asset?
That's a great question, Verity. How I go back, if I look at it as a philosophical metaphor, every intelligent question has the answer hidden in them. So if you think it is one way or the other, it is true. But having said that, at a business level, if you see, the government has been focusing on land and labor reforms in a very major way. And some states have already moved ahead. In fact, one of the reasons why the EODB ranking has improved is because of the rationalization of some of these norms. Secondly, some of the states have taken the lead. So Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, UP, multiple states have actually taken steps by which they are creating as much flexibility as they want. So directionally we are moving in absolute the right direction. Whether it can also be done better, yes. And then it goes back to the other choice, then when you are choosing now, you rather choose a destination where this is already enabled, and that is what actually acts as your competitive advantage, because you are ahead of the curve.
Thank you. That was well done, because it's an interesting topic in all countries. Shavikesh, just to prove that I don't have favorites at all, how is the Indian exchange rate? How does that influence manufacturing decisions in India for foreign companies?
I think the interesting thing for the foreign companies is that the exchange rates are always in the last many years going in favor, So the dollar is appreciating, the euro is appreciating. So obviously, when you look at investments, it is better to invest in India because of the exchange rates, So rupee has not been appreciating for the last many years. So I would say if that is the consideration, one of the considerations, then definitely India is an important market to invest that money.
Very much. That's definitely looking at the overall issue. We've got two questions on what I think are all similar topics, Sanjay, which I'd like to ask you, because we've got just a few minutes left. I'm going to give you both of them so you can decide how to talk through them, if that's okay. We've got, can Indian SME suppliers really support international companies as effectively as suppliers do in China? And the other is, inside world cities everything works really well, but how do you maintain quality throughout the supply chain in India? So you have this sort of supply chain thing.
Sure, thanks, Verity. And I think both the questions in a way are related. So the first thing is about the capabilities. So if you look at the capabilities, I think the entrepreneurial spirit, the ability to quickly adapt, and combined with a huge availability of younger population really gives new companies who come in the capability to augment. Hello,
all good, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it gives companies the capability to quickly augment and grow much faster. Where companies need help is if they have a specialized skill set, and that is where they have to handhold their suppliers or use a help of a specialized skill development. So I'll just highlight that like a couple of areas. The reason why everyone is talking about in manufacturing components, auto components, because India has already got a significant ecosystem. So when other companies come which need more sophisticated parts production, they can leverage on their capability, and the bridge can be built on skill development. So that's what is the India specific advantage. The other is what is required to do beyond the ecosystem. So therein integrated ecosystem play a role up to a particular point to ensure some of the supply chain parts are already embedded. Second, location is very important, because by location we ensure if you are right on the highway, you are away from the congested urban area, then even how the current disruption happened, we could do the resumption very well. And the third is a focus which is required. Shavikesh had talked about a huge investment which is being done by the government of India and the state governments in building the road infrastructure, the other infrastructure, and ports and logistics. So when that is combined with the capability which we build in, it makes a difference.
Thank you, Sanjay. I've got 4 or 5 more questions, and I'm trying to see how to get through them. I don't think we can get through all of them. Let me take a typical foreign one, or Shavikesh, if I can give you 2 together. They're not quite as related, but still. Project plans and timelines. Do they work in India, or are delays common, is one question. And another is, how reliable are Indian contractors and vendors? Can I ask you to answer those two?
Okay, so yes, we are all aware that India is not really known to be, a country with planning, right? So we move with the flow. We start working and then start planning as we go along. But that said, things are again on the project management side improving very fast. Yes, there would be some challenges in the planning. I mentioned some bureaucratic hurdles, which also make your planning go for a toss sometimes. But overall, if you see, if you have a plan in place, and it's important to treat India like any other developed country when it comes to planning, you should have a plan in place. Then the timelines are met more or less. There would be delays. If anyone says that there will be no delays, I would say that I would completely disagree with that. There would be some delays. How do you minimize the delays is something which a proper planning takes care of. So that way, India will be no different from other countries. When it comes to the reliability and also the delays is because of the next question Verity asked, the reliability of contractors, vendors, suppliers, and all. Now, India started on this manufacturing journey not yesterday, many years ago. So a lot of international parts, components, equipment suppliers are also in India. The Indian part suppliers or equipment suppliers also are getting their act together. The quality is much better. The deliverables when they commit are met. The timelines are met. Coming to the contractors, yes, one should be very careful about the contracts you enter into. I know from my past experience, a couple of German companies, their plants are set up, and for a contract, a civil contract, civil works contract, with the value of about I think 4.5 million euros. Our client was like, why do we need to sign up? We understand each other well, and it's a gentleman's agreement. Because back in Germany, you give your word and it just followed. And we had to really convince them hard that no, you still have to sign a contract with the contractor. It's a large value contract. About 4.5 million euros is not a small amount for civil works. And they were surprised, actually, genuinely surprised. It was a large company, about 5 billion euro global turnover, about 100 manufacturing plants the world over. But still, they could think on those lines that we understand these people, good people. We should be. What is the need to sign up? So yes, people are reliable, contractors are reliable, but again, you have to have proper control systems in place. You cannot have a lax control mechanism when it comes to managing your project or projects in India.
So Verity, if I can just add 30 seconds to that, just to give a flavor, I think the delays happen when there are certain uncertainties that Shavikesh talked of. So in any new geography, you may not be able to reduce the uncertainties to nil, but you can reduce it to maximum possible. And that is where I'll just give an example that if you choose an integrated ecosystem, then the fact that there's a clear land title, there's an infrastructure developed, a lot of common environment and other related approvals are already in place. When you do the planning, you straight away go, the day you sign the lease, next day you're ready for your next steps. And one of the most complex examples which my team quotes is when JCB started their foundation stone. From foundation stone to the first phase of operations for 3 product lines, it took them exactly 322 days, which is under a year, because of the support of the tertiary infrastructure and other things. So you plan it well, you plan it at the right destination, it can accelerate. It can at least reduce the uncertainty period and the parameters.
And as we said before, also the planning early and using this time to plan will obviously help you be more prepared for all of this. So that's very useful. We don't really have time, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's a fantastic question from Rajesh from VDMA. The whole discussion about vocal for local, about moving from globalization to localization. How does that work with Make in India for foreign companies? It's really back to philosophy almost. Maybe I ask very, like 30 seconds, I'm sorry guys, but 30 seconds from Shavikesh and then 30 seconds from Sanjay. If you could give some inputs on that, that would be great.
Okay, I go first, Sanjay.
Please.
You first.
Okay, so I think, yeah, this is a very obvious, sorry, this is a very obvious question, you know, that is it globalization? We are talking of a localization. But I think India also has to come up in terms of the quality of, you know, products which we make. We are not yet there. Made in India is not yet a brand as, for example, made in Germany or made in Japan would be. And there, I would say, if we dovetail the government's, you know, the Prime Minister's clarion call to, you know, vocal for local, make in India, I would relate it from that perspective. That we still need the technology which we don't have, and we cannot wait for next maybe 30, 40 years for that technology to be developed internally, for which, whether it's a component, it's an equipment, it's a full machine, we need that international technology, and that has to be made in India. And which is where, that's my take, that the vocal for local initiative is going to be, you know, going forward. That's my very, very small take on simple take on that. It's a complex topic, yes. Like Sanjay.
Yeah, thanks, Shavikesh. So good to hear from you, Rajesh. You should be actually answering this question on behalf of all of us. But I think to augment Shavikesh's point, the vocal for local is a focus to ensure the quality, the capability, and the scale which is built in is for local. And once you build that skill and scale, that is where then you can actually use it for domestic market as well as there. So it's not, even international companies, when they come in, they can actually be vocal for, you would have heard today many of the MNCs are saying we are Indian. Whether you ask a Unilever or you ask many of them, they say we are Indian. They call themselves Hindustan Unilevers Limited. So if that is the base which is built in, I think directionally where we are headed, where the term in long term, and that is what all of us strive for, the right term for all of us should be India +1. So India is at the center, bringing in the R&D and the technology capabilities of the Europe and being the bridge to the vibrant markets of the Asia. So this is just step one for India +1.
And on that very positive note for the future and lovely forecast, we really have to close because we are very much over time. We still have some questions, and I think people will organise to make sure that those questions all get answered with the individual askers. So the last thing I have to do is say thank you very much to everybody for today, for the attendees, and obviously to both our speakers. Thank you so much, Shavikesh. Thank you, Sanjay, and we hope to talk to you more. As discussed, we are at the beginning, we'll be sending the recording out, and we'll follow up any questions you have. I think we already shared the email addresses, but please do, let's make it a conversation because there's much more to be said. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks Verity and the team for organizing it. Great to be here and look forward to being in touch.
Thank you. Have a good day, all of you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.